To accompany the virtual heritage walk around Fairhaven Lake, here is a brief history of the development of the Fylde coast of Lancashire. The 1800s were a time of change. The Victorians believed a visit to the seaside to take in the bracing sea air and a dip in the salt water good for the health. Seaside resorts were planned, and the Fylde coast of Lancashire was about to see great changes. The land to the northern end of the coast was owned by Lord Hethcus of Russell Hall. He wanted to build a resort for the working classes from the cotton towns of East Lancashire to come to. It would be called Fleetwood, a family name from his grandmother. For that to be successful, a railway had to be built from Preston via Poulton to the mouth of the River Wyre, and that railway finally opened in 1840 to serve the new town and port. The next area to be developed as a seaside resort was Blackpool. Originally a group of small hamlets close to the coastal cliffs with several landowners, Blackpool took its name from the stream that flowed from the peat moss into the sea, creating a black pool. A railway branch line was constructed from Poulton to Blackpool North, and by 1850 Blackpool had expanded into a major town providing holidays primarily for the working classes. Moving further east along the coast, we move into the lands owned by the Clifton estate. Since the 1600s, the Clifton family had been the major landowner, obtaining income from the farms. This income was limited, and the Cliftons were persuaded that it was a time for change. Allowing land to be leased for development would bring in substantially more income. The old fishing port of Lytham was owned by the Clifton estate, and it needed redevelopment to attract the new middle classes. The promenade and grand villas were created along the coast towards Granny's Bay. In 1875, cotton mill owners from the Rosendale Valley leased a total of 318 acres of land from the Clifton estate to build a new holiday town of St Anne's for the middle classes. St Anne's was named after the church which had been built there in 1873 with funds donated by Lady Eleni Cecily Clifton. By now there was a railway running from Lytham along the coast to Blackpool, and a new road, named Clifton Drive, was built to join Lytham with St Anne's before being extended to South Shore. Clifton Drive would take the tramway system connecting Lytham with Blackpool and Fleetwood. The 1890s saw only one section of coast remaining for development, the area from marine villas at Granny's Bay to the boundary of St Anne's, where the beach cafe now stands. The coastal area from South Shore to Granny's Bay was still towering sand dunes full of rabbit warrens, and was good only for the Clifton family shooting parties. As the coast turns a corner towards Lytham, a natural shingle bank is formed, the Stannar Bank. Water from the Fylde lowlands and coastal marsh empty into the sea behind this bank. The Clifton estate planned, but failed, to close the gap where the waters flow into the sea. Then, in 1892, a local Fylde merchant saw an opportunity to lease the land to build another new town. Thomas Riley came from the north side of the River Wyre at Priestle. He married and then moved with his wife to the new town of Fleetwood, where he built up his business as a carpenter. He opened the North Lancashire Steam Sawmill, which was one of the largest mills, and it provided the timber, the doors and the windows needed to build all the new houses springing up across the Fylde. But it did not stop there. He also had an ironmonger's, so was able to cater for all the needs of the builders. Thomas Riley owned heavy machinery, steam diggers and cranes. These huge machines were capable of excavating the sand dunes quicker than 100 men. He had proved their worth with contracts to widen the Preston to Poulton railway line and to build one of Blackpool's stations. Riley's plan was for a complete new town for the middle classes. It would have shops, a hotel, and churches. But most importantly, it would have a lake to provide both shelter from the sea and recreation for its residents and visitors. Although recreational lakes had already been built by local councils in Southport and Poole after the completion of those towns, this lake would be the first in the country to be built as part of the master plan for a new town. It would be called Fairhaven. Why Fairhaven? It is not known for certain. One suggestion is that Fairhaven was named after the Fair family, who for 3 generations were the Clifton Estate land agents and managed the day-to-day running of the estate. But let's look at another opinion. Thomas Riley, like so many of his time, was a deeply religious man, attending church every Sunday, and he knew his Bible. Thomas Riley presented a master plan to the Clifton Estate, showing the outline of the development and suggesting the names for a number of the roads. Alexandria Drive, Derby Road, Cypress Avenue, and St Paul's Avenue are just some. The Acts of the Apostles tell of St Paul's journeys, and in particular his journey to Rome. The names of these roads all have connections with Paul and those journeys. Chapter 27, verses 7 and 8 records that Paul's boat encountered strong headwinds as it sailed around Crete and had to take shelter. The name of this bay was called Fair Havens. The final jigsaw piece of the Fylde coast was about to be put in place. A railway junction was created for a line to run from Anstall along Lake Road to the coastal dunes. 2 engines, Fairhaven and Preston, would haul the wagons and the heavy machinery over Granny's Bay and the double Stannar Bank. Workers came from Preston to do the manual work, and the noise of the steam engines working could be heard at the other side of Lytham. Thomas Riley was not building this new resort by himself. He established the Fairhaven Estate Company and leased plots of land for others to build on. The cost of these plots varied depending on their position. Corner plots, and those overlooking the lake, would be more expensive, and therefore took a lot longer than others to lease. However, his company would provide all the building materials at favourable rates, including the bricks from his brickworks at Moss Side, which could be transported directly to the site by his railway wagons. By 1893, the lake was formed, and the land was starting to be developed. It would be a slow process creating the Fairhaven that we still enjoy today. Please now join us on our virtual heritage walk around our lake. We hope you enjoy it.